It's Emppu.
Hi, this is Aki.
Eero.
And Lauri, we are
The Rasmus.
You're watching Chaoszine.
Okay, so hello everyone. Chaoszine is today here at the office of Otava Kustannus here in Finland, and we have the Rasmus as guest. So hello guys, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey. Good. Let me get something. Ta-da! It has arrived.
Yep, physical copy. That's always nice to have in hand.
When was the last time you read a book? Maybe it was this one.
Yeah, it was this one. I finished it like this morning. So
what do you think?
Very good, very good. Actually, this is gonna drop on 1st of September. So do you have actually plans to put it out also for the international fans?
Yeah, we're working on that right now. So, most of our fans, 95% are something else than Finnish speaking. So, yeah, we're working on that. But it's a good time to start learning Finnish too, if you feel like that. 400 pages.
yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the book before. So what kind of process it was for you? Was it like a trip to your memory lane when you were doing it?
Yeah, so the making of the book took about 2 years or maybe 2.5 years, and we started going with the author. We started from our childhood, and we explained how the band was formed, what was the inspiration behind the stuff that we wanted to do, and how the dreams that we had for the future like somehow became true in some ways with the band, and maybe some ways not, but yeah, it's a full picture of what the Rasmus is.
But it's like also a lot about friendship. I think that's kind of something cute about it. I mean, we have achieved many big things, but still it's really about friendship, and that kind of makes it good, because it's still kind of down to earth.
Yeah, I think it's a cool story because you have known each other for like so many years. So
yeah, like we have played in the same band. Are you yawning?
Yes.
Thanks. Since we were 9 years old.
okay.
He played bass, I played drums on the 3rd grade at school. So
And that was like 10 years ago.
So, but we are now talking more about the upcoming album, Rise.
Yeah.
And obviously, while making the book, you were also making an album, and you made it like in quite different time period of the whole world due to this goddamn pandemic.
Yeah.
So, what kind of experience it was?
So we started working on the album that is now titled Rise already in early 2020, and we had like few sessions with the producer in Spain, and we worked on some of the songs physically in the same room. But then the pandemic hit the world, and of course everyone had to go to their homes, to their countries, and we couldn't work as a band in the same place anymore, and that was really tough.
yeah, we live in different countries. Tero lives in Australia. I live in Honolulu, Hawaii. Guys in Finland. This producer guy, he was in England, and so we had to work over the laptop screen, which was really bad. But we tried. Instead of like doing nothing, we thought, this pandemic is, maybe it's here to stay. We don't know. Maybe it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Who knows? We just can't stop. So we decided to keep working, but it was difficult because we had to work from different time zones. Finland is like 12 hours ahead of Hawaii, and so it's like really complicated. If you write something, record something, and then you send it to the guys, and they listen it to the next day, and then you wait for their answer, and you don't have that instant
Feedback.
feedback and spontaneous things that happen in the studio. But thank God we have been together for a long time, so we were able to do this kind of thing because we knew each other and we know how it works, so to speak.
So did it create like any writer's block for you? Because you explain in the book that you were like very frustrated to the process at some point.
I was more frustrated with the recording of the things.
Okay.
Also writing was more complicated, but it was like putting it all together and keeping that spirit and feeling was hard. Because I really honestly hate even talking on the phone. I don't like it. I mean, I'd rather talk like this because it's so much more your impressions, whatever, with your face, the micro moves you do, they tell so much, and that chemistry, that energy is like something that creates usually good art. But then again, we thought like maybe we can turn this around and sort of make a thing out of it, because this is it. It is what it is. We are distant from each other, you know, all over the world. It's a pandemic. It's very sad, melancholic. So let's, you know, get everything out of this. So we actually named the album Night Division because we were divided from each other, and that sort of became the theme for the album. And also it was kind of theme of loneliness, like, and all this kind of inspiration came out of that desperate situation too. So, but, you know, I was recording my vocals in my car. Sometimes I drove up on the mountain, and I had really nice, you know, artistic experiences recording some of the quiet songs. You know, I would rig my microphone up on the the sunshade thing, and like sit in my car and like looking at the ocean.
Okay, so you were like sort of trying to escape from the reality.
Well, you know, I had to record somewhere. I don't have a studio, so I was like, maybe it's a good acoustics in my car. And actually it was pretty good. Also I rented, or I booked this like a private movie theater one day. I was just alone in this beautiful theater in the middle of the room, recording my vocals there. Like, so it was interesting. And I think like you recorded some bass in the music store. I think that was so fun. Tell that story.
Yeah, that's a funny story. So we had several songs on the album, and the producer was asking like, hey, for this song, can we have a bit more like a sort of like a heavier, like a heavy metal bass sound and a Music Man type of sound, humbucker, pickups, and then I didn't have that kind of bass in Australia, so I actually had to go into a music store, and I was like, hey, can I try that bass for a little bit? And I opened my laptop, a sound card, started playing the song and recording, you know, in the corner of the music store.
So that's a cool story, but you know, at the
This
same...
is a way you can make albums for free.
I know, but you know, that's what I mean, like, yeah, they were happy, but that's what I mean, like, it's a cool story and a cool thing to do, but then again, like, after having all these plans, like we did have a plan to go to England. We had booked a beautiful studio for many months to record like we did back in the days. That was all gone, and all of a sudden he's recording his bass in the music store. Like, what the fuck? That sort of, like, mentally was difficult.
Do you
like,
feel that it
how
would
can this work? You know, it's crazy, but could it be a good thing? So, but I have to say, like, some of the vocals I did in these weird places, some of it got better because of the situation, and I was there alone, and you know, it was different. I had more time. I could spend all night recording one verse for some song, you know, spend all that time instead of having someone looking at the time and, you know, we need to move on, next thing, you know, like, we had more time.
It was only you and those two policemen who came to knock the window, like asking, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, when I was in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, my neighbors were like, "What the hell? This guy is screaming in his car." And I couldn't have the AC on because it was really too loud for the recording. And it was like 35 degrees outside. So you can, guess, like in 2 minutes the car was like a sauna and I was sweating and the windows were all like foggy, like in Titanic.
So I could imagine the police's like faces when they were knocking the door, like,
It's like,
what
hop
the
in the
hell
back.
are you doing in the car?
I sing you a song. Yeah. Put your hands on the vehicle. Step out of the vehicle.
So do you feel that this pandemic time sort of affected somehow the end result, also when it comes to the music itself?
A lot. Everything, all the parts of it, like the recordings, the feeling, we were ripped apart, and eventually Pauli left the band. He couldn't take it. Like, it was really hard for us. We were so close to breaking up and quitting altogether, and so that can all be heard in the lyrics, in the moods on the album, and totally it's there. But also then good things started to happen. Pauli left, we were devastated, but very soon after first we wrote Jezebel. I went to Greece, worked with Desmond Child. I still tried, I called Pauli, hey, come here, we need your riffs, come on, let's write this song together, and he's like, no. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I continued with Desmond, writing this great song, and we also did Rise, that session, and that started to be the new runway to this moment, and good things started to happen. And then just a few weeks after Jezebel was written, we got an idea of contacting her, and Empu joined us in September. And then also we came up with the idea to go to Eurovision, and all of a sudden we had this great plan in front of us and a great challenge to overcome as a new lineup, as a new Rasmus. It was really healthy for us.
Yeah, and even though the album was kind of ready when I joined, but then it was not, because the mood changed a lot. So
yeah, and we did three songs.
New songs were done after I joined.
Yeah.
And I think it's great because you can hear the whole story from the album. There's the COVID solitary moments, and then some new energy and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the album was titled Night Division before, and then we felt after like 2 years when she joined us, like, we have to rename this. We don't want to have that negative word attached to this, because we are feeling so good right now. I think we're feeling more positive and energized than in years. Somehow, like all the live shows we played, they're fantastic. I think we're better than ever. And now everything seems to be in the right place all of a sudden. And so we wanted to rename the album, and that's why it's called Rise.
So does this sort of feel like a fresh new start also for the band?
Yeah, it feels like a new, fresh beginning for the band. And it's funny, after all these years, you can still find that spark and that thing. But it really comes to the fact that actually you love what you do, and you keep doing what you love. And I think that's what we talk about every day. If there's anything one of us don't like, we don't do it. But it needs to be something that you feel from your heart. And that's the only way that it's going to go far.
So how frustrating it was in the writing process when you didn't get like feedback from Pauli and he was sort of like absent from the whole writing process?
Well, I can't blame him only. I think I did the same. But it's hard to communicate when you are on the other side of the planet.
When he has already made the decision to leave.
Yeah, because we were used to that, we sit together, drink red wine and look at the fireplace, and that's how we wrote songs years ago. And all of a sudden we're just emailing shit to each other, and that's very cold. And then you text some comments about your friend's song that he's been working on like fucking 2 weeks, day and night, and they're like, oh well, it's okay, well, could be better. And it's like, oh,
okay.
It was all that. But I think the problems were deeper And this process started to happen years ago with him. He didn't want to be there. He was telling us like years ago already, like, I wish I wouldn't have to play the tours, you know. I would rather be a musician in the studio or something like that. And like not really enjoying playing guitar, which is kind of bad if you're a guitarist. So, you know, like he wanted to jump off the train sooner, but I think it was just a big scary decision.
Took some time to sort of digest that I will be leaving, because it's obviously not an easy decision ever to do.
Yeah, but I have to say that he was like a gentleman in that way that he said like, I'm going to leave. I don't want to be the break. I want to make space for you to grow, and that's what he said. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. And that's what happened after he left. I think some of the locks are open, and all of a sudden, the flow is back, and things start to happen. And I think in life, you always have these moments, like you have to go low to understand like what you're missing, and then like fight for it. And this is somehow what's happening in the last 3 years for us.
So did this album sort of feel like even more personal to you, because I guess your role was bigger than ever?
I think so. It feels, because it was so close. We were so close to breaking up with the group. I was telling them, I texted them like, I'm gonna go solo. I actually, before we wrote Jezebel, I was like, I can't take this. I was like,
you mentioned in the book that you were sort of thinking whether you would make a solo appearance for the Eurovision.
Right. Yeah, because I just felt like I need more space. I need more something. I need more backup, or then I have to go alone. Because I felt like I have something to give, but it's not coming through. So I just felt like I'm gonna do a solo. At least I know what I'm doing, and I do it exactly like that. So I think maybe there was too many breaks, and that's what Pauli was sort of saying himself.
So how important was the bedroom sessions that you did during the pandemic time? Was that sort of like a therapy for you to do?
Yeah, I started making the videos like on my own. That was also a therapeutic experience to work with music when there was no chance playing concerts. I was basically just locked at home, so I would still have a connection with the fans when I was posting the videos, and it was just felt healthy and somehow meaningful. And also it was about the time when we were writing the book already, so I was going anyway through the history of my life and like all the songs that I've been digging and why and how they made me who I am as a musician. So this was sort of like a good thing to do on the side. So I picked many songs from my past, like cover songs, very different genres that I liked and somehow have affected me during this journey. So.
The album is once again a bit more like rock approach, and it has a little bit more like heavier approach than the previous albums. So was it like when you played the Dead Letters tour and then you also like revisited your past, do you feel that that also somehow like influenced you to write and go back to the roots again?
I think we had one of the first things we did for this album was like we got together in Spain and we just were playing some of the demos that you had or Pauli had, and some of them had like this kind of like quite heavy, slow moods, and we were sort of like, okay, what can we create just with the guitar, bass, and drums, plus the vocal on top? Like no gimmicks, no loops or stuff, just like kind of the rock trio, and some of like Evil was one of the songs that was kind of the first creation, and in a way, like if you put that sort of Rasmus together and start playing something like quite slow and heavy, like then it's gonna sound quite heavy in that way. And I think that we're happy that that song ended up on the album from the very first session.
And that sort of gave you also the direction where you are heading with the music.
Yeah, so maybe in that session we realized, okay, like we need some sort of like riffs around the melodies, and then there's going to be choruses like that, and or I don't know, what do you feel like? I think that it's sort of sort of like heavy sound is somehow our home.
Well, honestly, I don't think about it when I'm writing something. I just like they become something, and some songs are happier and some darker and sadder and heavier. I think that's interesting, like not repeating some recipe, just like let every song be different and live their own life and become what they want to be. I think that's the way to go in the studio.
Yeah. And that's the way creativity should work.
Yeah.
If you force it to some direction, it's never good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also remember like Clouds, for example, like that song we played it with the kind of the full band and like heavier sound than what it is on the album, but the producer Joshua, he was like, hey, like let's try this song with just a kind of like very light beat, and let's create kind of soundscape around the song. And I think that for that song, for example, like it was the right choice, like to give more air, more space for the melody. It's always like that kind of song has a different mood. It's almost like a
Right, and I think we still think like album concepts, which is sort of old-fashioned, I guess, because a lot of people just release songs and have singles, but we enjoy that and creating an album as like one chapter in the history of the band. And I think then also when you think like that, then you mean like, okay, we have these songs that sound like that, now let's make a very simple one out of this one, like what's that song, Odyssey. That's like, there's like a guitar and that's it, a little bit drums.
Quite a lot of more things.
I know there's quite a lot, but it sounds like it's very like personal because it's so empty. And then we first played that song, I had all these like versions of the song, we rocked it out and everything, and all of a sudden it's this stripped down version, and I think it's great. It works especially when you think of like an album as a concept, like you don't want to have all the songs sounding the same.
So did the songs change, like when Emppu joined? Did she bring like any ideas into the table?
Oh yeah, I think the Emppu's playing is one thing, but also like when you had the session with Desmond Child, you wrote Jezebel and Rise. They're both of them were like songs that they kind of stood out for me. Like at the same time, Laura was asking, hey, what about we take part in UMK? And I switched my mind into like, okay, how good is this song to enter competition with? And both of those songs, they are actually like they are really unique in a way, and they sound like the Rasmus already when you came from the songwriting session. So I thought that like, yeah, it makes sense to be there. But then of course like her playing.
Yeah, I joined the band in late stages of the album, so obviously the creative part had already been done, like writing wise and like you guys playing the songs, but I love that I got to be in few songs, and actually Jezebel and Rise were done just before I joined, and I played guitars for those songs, and then you wrote more songs with Desmond.
Yeah, well, you came to Nashville.
Yeah, I actually went to Nashville without you because the connecting flight was fully booked, and only one of us could fit in. So I actually flew to Nashville to meet Desmond and Lauri came one day later, and I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? just joined the band, and now I'm like knocking on Desmond Child's door with my guitar, like, I came alone.
Can I come in?
It was so funny. You were asking like, can you go alone? And I was like, I don't know if I have a choice. But yeah, that was very nice for me to be like part of like making those songs in the studio. Yes.
So what kind of experience it was in the end, the Eurovision?
First of all, I'm so happy that we took part to this competition, and also it was important for us because we always talk about the COVID now, but it's, you know, we didn't have nothing to do, or we had nothing to do, and then Empu joined the band, and all of a sudden we had like a plan on the calendar and in our minds that we will, this is what we do. We will first win the UMK and then we go to Eurovision. So everything was kind of, I mean, we had a plan. That it helps quite a lot after 2 years of being at home, you know. I'm so happy we went there. It was so much fun. I think we are stronger than ever. We met a lot of nice people there. What do you think? I think it was fantastic.
And obviously reached quite a lot new audience as well along the way.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's huge.
It helps to have 200 million people watching the show.
Yep,
That's a good chance for any artist. And I think one of the best things about Eurovision is that you get to meet many people from many different countries, about 40 different countries in this whole thing. First time I speak with people from Armenia and hear their stories about how their country is, and it's really interesting.
So it was a very good experience.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I think, you know, we can tell the difference when we play Jezebel on the festivals here. It's like, it's a big song.
Yeah,
and there's a
people
reason
know
for
it.
it.
Yeah. So before we wrap things up, a little bit about the future. So what kind of actual plans do you have after putting the album out?
Well, we'll have interesting song collaborations in the pipeline. Yeah, I know I can't say much, but it's like we have pretty many things like for this year and next year, like already in mind, and it feels great. Like, you know, really after COVID, it's like, we just want to do something all the time, and it feels good to be active. Like we're already writing songs for the next album, and we already booked the studio and everything. So it's like, what?
Okay,
why don't we just release this one first?
But the creativity is like flowing now with the new lineup, so it's good in that sense.
Yeah, and it seems like on all different areas, like live, we have paid so much more attention for the live gigs, like rehearsing stuff that we would just run through for years, but all of a sudden, like, let's get this right now, and like she's singing with the songs, and now there's like so much more in the live that it's just becoming so much better. And we have interesting concerts. We have a big show in Helsinki, 30th of September, Ice Hall gig. We're going to do a special show. Also some featuring there, with some cool artists. And then we have the European tour starting in October. And after that we go to Mexico. And then we will continue touring next year. And
Actually, have a nice little surprise, maybe to go to his country.
Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, guys, for the interview, and all the best for the release of the upcoming album. Anything you want to say as a closer to the fans?
well, we hope to see you guys in person. It's been all this messaging on the social media, but we really hope to see you guys on the tour in October across Europe, and come to Finland if you want to see a very special show in September in Helsinki. It's an open invite. See you guys there.
Thanks.